Was Cord dancing?
Yes, that's what I was
Probably.
doing.
So once we get some people up here, then we'll get started.
That's if we even get anybody. Everybody's in Dayton.
We're on their
We don't care
way.
about them.
I know. Yeah, really, we don't.
That's rude.
Well, there's nobody on here watching us to listen to hear us anyway.
That's okay. It'll still be posted online, and everyone will have to watch it again.
Exactly. Well, hopefully they all have those little streaming things so they can watch it while they're driving down the road.
I can't even see if anybody's coming on. Who's on? Hello, hello, hello.
We have some people on. All right, you ready, guys?
We're ready.
Party on.
Yes?
Party on.
Yep, we're ready. Party on.
We got Hans on. He just said, evening, guys. But
Hey, Hans.
welcome, everybody, to the X-Rock Extreme podcast. We are brought to you this season by Kincaid Fabrication, She Crawls, Braddock Motorsports, JM Rigging, Mother's Off-Road Recovery, All Extremes, 386 Fab, Wheeling for Warriors, Jesse Haynes Fabrication, Radial Dynamics, Black Bear Electric, and I think that's all. Trying to rattle them off of my head. But my name is Tiffany Andrews. I do the hosting for this. And tonight my guests are Jim Markham of JM Rigging and Cord Reside of Mother's Off-Road Recovery Motorsports. I got the motorsports.
What's happening? I
we
don't
got
care about
two
the
of our
motorsports
awesome
part.
sponsors. We got two of our awesome sponsors that have essentially teamed up in the past year to not only help better with X-Rock, but just the East Coast wheeling all in general. And Jim, you've been a sponsor for many years. You've been coming out to all these events. You want to kind of tell us what you think?
Well, I like X-Rocks. I like Hans. I like everybody involved in the group. It's definitely a different type of event, rather than cone dodging. It's actually putting a vehicle through a certain obstacle, which can prove to be very, very interesting. Definitely are always on your toes. There's always a lot happening with the X-Rocks. And it's just a really good group of people, a great family, and I'm here to help X-Rocks grow and become something that we would all like it to be. Huge.
Absolutely. And Cord, you are more than just a sponsor. You have been a competitor over the years and a longtime volunteer and friend of the sport. What is your take on, just the series and the way it's been going and everything like that?
You know it. I'm here to help push this event and series further than we can. If I could take it to the moon, I will. I'll drag it there. My tractor trailer will fit on a space shuttle, so we'll make it happen. But yeah, we've been out here for the last 3 years helping with recoveries and stuff. And before that, or actually, I guess it was 2 years recoveries, and the 3 years before that, we were competing. I love the sport. I'm here for every part of it. I'll volunteer and do whatever I can to help push this sport forward. So if anybody needs a hand doing anything of that nature or can help us, we appreciate everything we can do.
Absolutely. And we have little Charlie on here saying that he can't wait to see everyone. And
same here.
We have Hans, and he did confirm, Jim, you are our longest sponsor with this series, and we just can't thank you enough for not only the support over the past, I can't even tell you how many years. I think you jumped on like 4 years ago, but the constant support and now showing up, teaming up with Cord with the recoveries, and it's just something that I don't think none of us can thank you enough for.
Well, that's awesome. Does that mean like at the end of the year I get like some kind of a booby prize or something? You know,
Maybe.
kick in the arse
Absolutely.
or something?
I
only
just
do
bought a late
because I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. I mean, you do not know how excited I am for Wednesday night to roll, hop on that airplane and come back and see this place. I mean, when I went to Field and Forest, I've never seen rock crawling like that. When I just went to Pennsylvania too at Famous Reading, I'd never seen rock crawling like that before. And then, of course, when Charlie told me, hey, Jim, if Hans puts a cone on it, I'm driving it. Well, I think he kind of lived up to that, didn't he? I mean, he had to. He had to do booty clapper. If he didn't, his son would have beat him by more than just one place.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was it was really great to see that, because when David Book did the clapped out booty chatter drop back in 2019, I was up on that ledge judging at that time. And it was just like one of those big roaring type of experiences. Everybody, like, he didn't finish the course that day. So that was when we did like the old style rules. So he didn't get the points for that bonus, but it was just like so awesome to see. And then to see Big Charlie do that this past event with the same type of reaction, if not bigger reaction, it was awesome, because nobody has driven that since 2019.
Yeah, well, you know, that anybody that wants to watch that video, it's on my JM Rigging Facebook page. It's got over 50,000 views on that video, which is, to me, that's a lot of views. I mean, I know there's people that get millions, but, you know, we're not the Hawk Tall Girl or anything like that. We're simply filming Charlie dropping off of crazy stuff. And I mean, and if you go and you watch that video and then just read the comments are like, I mean, you have to laugh when you read these comments, because it's quite something. So, you know, hopefully, you know, Hans is going to put a bunch of cones out again, and hopefully we get at least one person that can do all that. I mean, I've never seen anybody get 5 cones on Hans, but I actually watched little Charlie get 6 cones on Hans. So
technically,
and I don't think that happens very often, does it, Hans? That, you know, the guys actually
never.
Codes?
It has never happened in X-Rock until that.
Yeah.
That moment, little Charlie. We've never had anybody ever finish a course.
Yep. Well, little Charlie did.
With the new rule system.
With the new rules,
I mean,
correct.
When we did the traditional, we did have people finish courses, but little Charlie, not only did he finish all 5 gates, we ruled out, or we implemented this new rule that if you complete successfully all 5 gates, you get to use the exit as a 6th gate as extra leverage, because with the new system, there are some people that is like, okay, I'm done, and they'll time out or just call it, and it gives that consistency to keep the show going, to give them the opportunity to get off course, and it was awesome to see. But little Charlie did say that his dad would have still gotten 2nd, even if he didn't do that.
Even if he didn't do booty clapper?
Yeah,
really?
Supposedly.
I believe it.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to the score points at that point, but no, we'll be up. We'll be up there Monday at Chaos. Hans and I will be out there, and Carrie will be there Monday morning to start setting cones and putting them up.
Yeah, good. That's good. Well, I see that little Charlie said that Dad still would have got 2nd, whether he did that or not. But I'm telling you, I mean, I've seen these guys, you know, out at Trailbreaker and stuff like that do this crazy stuff. But when I looked at that, and I'm like, Charlie, you're going to drive off of that? And he did. And It was insane. It was very good. Hopefully, we'll get to see some more action like that in West Virginia.
Big natural obstacles.
I
That's
mean,
what
we
we
had
are
so
all about
many
at X-Rock.
we had so many amazing drops and stuff and saves. I mean, take little Charlie's save around the tree, roll down
The bottom tree.
roll down the hill, landed on all four, and continued to keep going. I mean, we had qualifying Matt Dickey just flying through the course like it was nothing in what, like 4 minutes, some less than that. It was crazy just to watch him see.
It was a yard sale at the same time though, so his car took massive punishment for that.
True.
So let's kind of talk about that and get into the subject with the qualifying and all the different carnage that the two of you had to team up and, kind of get everybody off course, because we only had two people finish, and that was Matt Dickey and Big Charlie. And there was so much damage. How was it for the two of you with all that work on such a hot day?
Well, the rough part about that carnage was it was one at the bottom of the hill, one at the top of the hill, one at the bottom of the hill, one at the top of the hill. So it was like we could never get the tow truck in the right spot at the right time, because I parked it up the top figuring people were going to have a problem off of Danny's drop. Help me.
Oops.
Can't think of the name. Oops drop, yeah. We figured people were going to roll off that. Not one person rolled off the oops drop, but a lot of people got hummed up on that sideways undercut rock, which was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, especially on the cars. But then Matt Dickey down on the bottom getting that last jump up on the rock and then had no power steering. So we had to hold the car up on the 6-foot ledge or whatever it was and winch it back down so it didn't end up in pieces at the bottom. So we used Huber's Jeep and got that all wrapped up down there to get him down. And then by the time I got the tow truck down there, was able to lift him up and tow him away and get him back to his trailer so he could fix it up and get ready for the next day.
Yeah. Well, that you'll find is real popular with the Utah boys. They send it. I mean, with X-Rocks, I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to drive through the gate. I think you could fly through the gate. You could roll through the gate. I think you could get through the gate however you have to get through the gate, as long as you don't hit the cones.
As long as you don't hit the cone. It's all about large obstacles, hitting big, natural, large obstacles. That's what we are about. We thrive on it. And Chaos has some of the biggest stuff boulder-wise I've ever seen. So wait until you get down there and see that. It's amazing down there.
It's going to be good. I'm looking for it. It kind of reminds me of Caliph last year at not Good Evening Ranch, Field and Forest, when he did that big drop on the second batch that nobody had ever done before. He thought that car had wings. He literally flew off of that thing. I'd never seen anything like that before. I
feel like that's how you had to attack that one, because if you tried to crawl down it, it was like your car's going to flip off. So if you gave it a little bit of gusto and you just kind of went for it, it obviously worked out, because two people did the same way and it worked out.
Oh, yeah. They launched off that thing, spotter rope flapping in the back. It was pretty awesome. I thought it was great.
Believe it or not, there were people that attempted that drop the year prior.
Yep.
But it was never truly successful, because we had Ricky Barrett in the lemon drop. Oh my goodness, you had to see the carnage when he came down. But we also had underneath it. We also had Minnie actually do this tumble set type thing off of it. landed on all fours, but I think he broke so much coming down that he was just stuck like dead in the water. But we've had that. But Caleb went and killed it last year. He did the massive climb up the slab at Good Evening that nobody has ever done either.
Now there's like 5 people or 6 people that have done it, not in competition, but when we were just down there earlier this year, Little Charlie did it, Big Charlie did it, Dale Scottler did it. I think Steve tried and didn't quite make it. Steve Milano. I don't know if I'm missing anybody else.
He's another one that is. He's like a secret weapon because he did a couple first time things up at Field and Forest last year. He got that notch for the first time and everything.
Yep.
That V notch around the side, the one that Big Charlie got hung up and like broke a bunch of stuff on.
I'm interested to see what because Milano's signed up. So, but as far as I saw, his car's for sale on Facebook. So I'm curious to see if he's showing up with something new, or if he's just riding that thing out until it's sold. So we'll see what happens. He busted the whole back end of that car out.
Kind of like Big Charlie. Kind of like Big Charlie, and everything's for sale because he's selling that other buggy too.
Okay, I didn't see the other buggy for sale. I just saw the comp buggy.
So let's talk about Chaos and what there is. We have 15 people signed up right now, 5 spots left, and it is almost an equal divide, East Coast versus West Coast, with some big names on here. Like we have John Madcow, we have Skip Scott, we have Cam Beasley, Steve Milano, both Big Charlie and Little Charlie. We have Matt and Brett Dickey coming back out again. Nate Gilbert of M&N Off-Road. Minnie is going to make his debut, I believe, with his new car. Jesse Haynes is coming out again. I believe he and Jeremy Ingram, they're partnering with 386 Fab is starting to build Jesse Haynes chassis, both awesome sponsors of X-Rock, and I think Jesse is going to be driving his car. We have Danny Benner coming out, and a big one that hasn't really been talked about. We have Dave Cole, King of the Hammers, Ultra 4. He's going to come out and kind of put his hat in the ring for this $10,000 payout.
I am super interested to see what Dave Cole's bringing. I heard it's a bomber chassis, but the question is it a like an Ultra 4 built bomber chassis? Or I know there was a couple bomber chassis that were like built as crawlers. I'm really interested to see what car he brings, to see if I think he's going to be a real contender. I've never seen him drive, but the name is there. So I'm interested to see what it is.
So Little Charlie's asking what it's like at Chaos.
It is very big boulders. I would say it's I don't even know if you could say it's a mix. It's very natural, like glacier boulders, like the size of cars. They're all very big, huge boulders. Tell me if I'm wrong, Tiff.
No,
it's on the side of a mountain.
That second course is constant. It like the second course typically that is our second course there. That is all boulders.
Yeah. Well, yes. And then the second course. Well, it depends on what you want to call first or second course. The first course down, like as you're coming up into it to the if you're pulling up it's to the right. That's the more boulder, like big glacier stuff. And then up to the left, as you're coming up the trail, is more of like a sandy-ish kind of weird. I don't even know how to say that kind of
So
traction, because it's
the
like
way to,
all traction, no traction. Like there's literally a line you could draw in the sand.
the way to explain chaos, it had, when we used to do the old style traditional scoring, chaos was what we are now as X-Rock. That was our put up or shut up, the hardest drops and courses that Hans has ever done. That was always an invite only, put up or shut up. That's how it went. That was the one thing that was Hans's vision to what we are doing now. And there was winching back then. And I don't think there was a course. There was allowed 2 or 3 winches for these events per person, and it was scored differently, everything like that. There were people that would hook to a winch just to drive through 1 or 2 gates because, I mean, it's gnarly.
Yes, it is. I want to say it's the biggest stuff on the East Coast that I've seen. It's pretty much the best way I can describe it. And I know if Bob's on from Field and Forest, he's probably going to read me the riot act for saying that. But I honestly do think that's true. It is big stuff.
Wow. So in other words, the big drop that Charlie did in Pennsylvania, everything is like that.
Yes.
There is some, I don't know exactly what we're setting and where we're setting what exactly. I have an idea. But yeah, just wait until you're there. It's going to be magnificent.
We had Danny, I'll never forget. It was one of the worst rolls I've ever seen Danny Benner do.
The alligator roll?
He must have flipped 3 or 4 times backwards and landed the roof right on top of a boulder and on the hood. I was worried sick about this child because this was his first real big season competing at that time. He was 13, 14. Oh my goodness, it was scary.
You're talking about when he told his dad told Dean to hook up the winch line. He's like, just hook the winch line up, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll hook the winch line up. And then he alligator rolled on the winch line across the one big flat rock and off the side of it. Yeah, that was a rough roll.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
that was pretty rough. It was rough.
Sounds crazy. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously, recovery will be a nightmare for you and I, but that's okay.
That's okay because we have some of the best winch lines and extra extensions and everything we can use. So
do we have extensions? I was going to ask you that earlier. Do we have extensions?
We do have. I have some stuff. I have 100 foot on each end of the truck. I have 2 other winch lines in my trailer we can make into extensions if we have to. So we should be good with what I have in stock and what we need. We got it.
Okay. So, because, I've got some stuff that I'm putting in my suitcase. I'm wondering, should I maybe throw a 25 or 30 foot extension or something in there?
Will never hurt.
Okay. Well, I know, because like I told you, everything that, it doesn't come home with me. It gets thrown in your tow truck. So you're probably saying, why don't you bring a couple of them?
Absolutely. Bring whatever you want. As everybody might not know, I am the East Coast dealer for JM Rigging, and Jim has been good enough to everybody to hook since this all has gone down. Jim's been good enough to give us a 10% discount code to order off his stuff with my discount code of Mothers10. So please don't be afraid to go on his website, use that discount code, get yourself some really good rigging, and come out and watch and see us use it and abuse it time and time again at X-Rock.
Yeah, should be good. Because not only do I sell the stuff, but, we use it. It's been proven in X-Rocks. I mean, look at the stuff we've done in X-Rocks. For years, I did all the recovery, for We Rock and the stuff that we used to put things through and Super Crawl back when Jesse had Super Crawl. Oh my God. the recovery was insane. And even Supercrawl, when Trail Hero, when Rich Klein took it over and we had it at Sand Hollow. I mean, there were times where we would have the truck over on this side of the ridge, have to throw a 100-foot extension up and over the ridge and down to the other side just in order to be able to put a line on the car to ride it up, because there was nowhere to get anybody or anything in there.
Yeah, we might have to do some of that stuff at Chaos.
Yeah, well, we had to do that at Sand Hollow, and we also had to do it. I'm blanking on the gal's name, Mackenzie. I'm blanking on her last name, where she did the same thing. She got stuck in this V-notch, and we had to come over on the other side of the mountain and drag the lines all the way up and over the mountain just down to get in so that we could pull her car, off that stuck ledge that it was on, because it wasn't going forward and it wasn't going backwards. It had to be pulled to the left, and that's the only way she was coming out of there.
Yeah, it really gets hard when people get wedged into some spots. It gets very tight. Then you got a tire bound up, and you just got to get it out of a hole or something like that. It's never fun.
We need an excavator is what we need. An excavator and a helicopter would just be ideal.
Yeah, the helicopter, the excavator, you can't get an excavator out there, so I don't know what you're going to do. I really need to get done. Once I get this new tow truck done, you're going to really enjoy that piece of equipment. I promise you. It's going to be another world.
We can just sky the cars then. That way it'll make it nice and easy. Really super easy. I've only ever been to one event where we actually had an excavator. And trust me, we used it. Boy, did we use it. In fact, that was, I think last time I was on, I told you the story about that, how with the birth of the soft shackle, underneath on an excavator. It was quite the thing. But yeah, we skied a couple of cars right out of that. It's the only way you were getting them. If there was not an excavator sitting up on the top of that, you would have never got through it. It was a big, nasty crack with a big hangover that went up into this area that Rich calls the boom boom room. And I think out of 10 cars, I think only 2 or 3 people even made it through there. Everybody else, we had to sky out of there with the excavator.
Nice.
Yeah, it was.
So let's talk about recovery. Let's talk about recovery for a second, especially when it comes down to competition. Jim, what are some of your products that you believe are best for people, whether it's, more so for the competitive aspect, but even trail wheeling? What are some of the good things that people should have with them?
Well, the basic things that, I tell people that you really need out on the trail, of course, you got to have a winch line, a good winch with a good winch line on it. The other thing you need is a couple of soft shackles, a couple endless loops, and a couple Raptor stingers. And if you have that, you can pretty much do just about anything. I used to carry, oh my God, probably a 25 or 30 pound bag around with me on course that had just all kinds of rigging and stuff in it. And I got so tired of carrying that I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. With all the quality stuff and rigging we have out there these days, smaller and stronger, sure the heck beats the hell out of bigger and not as strong. So you take those little Raptor stingers, they're made out of 3/8 rope. They're 19,000 pounds on a vertical pole, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 some odd thousand pounds if you use the thing in a basket. I cannot tell you how many cars that I've rigged with those Raptor stingers and been able to pull them up and over and out of the way without having to use big, bulky stuff. I mean, if you watch me now, I don't even carry a bag. I carry a couple stingers on the side of me with a couple of soft shackles, and I can rig just about any car to get it out of there. Sometimes we have some real exceptions, but, for 90% of the recoveries, a few stingers, a good winch line, and a bunch of soft shackles will work miracles.
On the tow truck, I have 6 snatch blocks. I have 2 7/16 Raptor slings. I've got 2 3/8 Raptor slings, 2 7/16 soft shackles, 4 3/8 soft shackles, and a couple other miscellaneous things like the kinetic energy rope. That's for more towing out. And I got 100 foot of winch line, 7/16 on the back, and 3/8 winch line on the front winch. That's all I have on the truck.
Yeah, and that's really about all you really need. I like having you and your truck there because, anything more than I need than what I have, just wrapped around my belt loop can easily be thrown down onto the course, by you or one of your guys up at the truck. So nice using synthetic. Synthetic, you can stand up on the cliff and you can throw it down to the guy. I mean, if you're throwing like some steel wire rope down there, it's like, look out. And here comes a steel shackle. I mean, we're all going to run and hide and yell incoming. I mean, who uses steel cable and steel shackles in off-road recovery anymore? The only thing you need a steel shackle for is to go in the tip of your snatch block. On all your shackles should have shackles in them to begin with. So
the only other thing I use steel for is sometimes on the aftermarket bumpers, you got to watch sharp edges.
Well, you always have to watch sharp edges, and I personally try not to wrap around a bumper for recovery because bumpers are good and everything, but I've seen bumpers come off, and I've seen bumpers become projectiles. I've seen videos where people are winching with certain bumpers that are bending and moving and flexing and just about getting ready to break. I mean, there's nothing like putting your winch on a bumper that's not actually even going to hold the power that you're putting on the winch. But that's a whole nother subject. So we'll get off that one. But but steel in off-road recovery, to me, there's just no place for it. I've seen wire rope cut people in half. I've seen a projectile, and I've seen shackles go through one end of the window and come out the back window. There's just all kinds of negative effects on using something that can hurt somebody. Where with winch rope, when winch rope breaks, it basically falls to the ground. There'll be people that'll argue that fact with me, but the thing is Dyneema has less than 1.5% stretch. When the Dyneema breaks when doing a recovery, it's not the winch rope that broke and stored the kinetic energy. It was that silly nylon strap that you had wrapped around the tree. That thing's going to stretch 25, 30%. It built up the kinetic energy, which made the rope look like it had kinetic energy, but all in all, it really didn't. I would much rather take a piece of Dyneema to the chest than a steel wire rope.
Absolutely. Not that you ever want to take anything to the chest like that, but I 100% agree with you. I do not want a piece of wire rope cutting me in half.
Oh, no, not at all. And a lot of people don't realize, but, when people like you and I are in there doing recovery, there's a lot of negative things that can happen doing that recovery. It's not as easy as everybody who just wants to run off the side and say, oh, here, let me hook up this, let me hook up. It's really not that easy. People like you and I are standing around and we are 100% in harm's way while we're trying to recover, somebody in somebody's vehicle and attempting to get it out of there by doing as little damage to them as we possibly can do. And it's definitely tough. It's challenging and it's fun, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah. The other thing that worries me a lot lately is seeing all these new off-road tow trucks pop up in the world that everyone's building and whatnot and going out. And I like the ability that people are doing it and coming out and supporting people doing it. But the other thing we got to really watch, to me, is insurance. When it comes down to it, just because, like what you just said, Jim, if something happens while you're doing a recovery, somebody gets hurt, somebody gets, a car flips because you're something you hooked to broke or whatever, the liability on it is so high. Not as much as with the comp stuff, more with random Jeeps, but I know I carry $2 million worth of insurance at every event we go to. So that's my biggest thing is I always worry about that insurance policy. I don't want to use it, but if something does happen, I have it.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because, things, do go awry. I mean, we just recently, we had a rope broke, or
Yep.
break, I should say, when we had the car slung in the air. We should not have hooked that way. It was definitely around something sharp, but then at the same point, we didn't know that the car was going to go airport when we had it
Well,
up the back of the boob either. That car decided that it was going to go ahead and do whatever it was that it wanted to do.
yeah,
But we got that new tire sling that we're going to break out at Chaos. It's got a bunch of pieces of wire rope inside of it rather than a synthetic material. So that will never, ever happen again.
yeah, we don't need that to happen again. That was a scary moment. I'm just glad nobody was down below.
Yeah, well, even the car didn't go anywhere just because of where it was. I mean, it was still a safe issue, but that car did take a bounce that nobody expected it to do. And that's kind of part of the thing with recovery. That's why I like to keep spectators back and people away from recovery. I don't even like the owner of the car being around on recovery. I wish everybody could just kind of stay away and back off and watch it from afar, because I don't want to see something happen and somebody get hurt. I mean, if I'm in there and I'm doing the recovery and something happens to me, well, so be it. But I don't want anything to happen to you.
Absolutely. Don't want anything to happen
little
to anybody.
Charlie was on here, and I know he spoke about it before, and when they were down in Texas after King of the Hammers last year, and they were wheeling with Cottontail Creations, and they were so amazed when they were stuck, and the Milchners brought out all their different JM rigging supplies to help get Cottontails out, and they said that they were totally wedged down at Wolf's Cave, and without your stuff, like they would have been stuck a lot longer than what they were.
Yeah, well, I know I saw that video. Woody shared it with me on what they did to get that car up and out of there, and it was really very impressive. And it's one of the things that I designed that recovery stinger around. Was we need something that's small enough to go through those little tiny holes on the wheels. Most of your basic common rigging that everybody uses, your straps and stuff like that, wouldn't even begin to fit through those little holes. But that Raptor Stinger does. And we've used them to winch tires when they get off crooked, to winch them straight. We've used them to lift up out of holes with people up above, winches coming down. Those Raptor Stingers are probably one of the number one items that I sell. And I've got some new stuff coming out with those. I kind of redesigned them after we did the Pennsylvania event there at Reading. We used them a lot, and I looked at a couple of different ways and things that I could do to improve those, which we'll do. And the stuff that's on its way to you, Cord, has got the new design of the Raptor Stinger on it. I think you'll like them a lot. And also bringing out bigger ones too. It's always just been 3/8, but with some people and being pushed by people, I'm going to have them now in 7/16, ½ inch, 9/16, 5/8, 3/4, 1 inch, because we're kind of starting a little bit of a towing division in JM Rigging, even though I've always done it and I've always had that stuff. But we're going to put a little side note off on the website that's going to give you the option to order much bigger and more heavier duty Raptor Stingers, and in different lengths too. Tires are getting big these days. I mean, when I first devised that Raptor Stinger, people were riding 38-inch tires. The 4-footer worked good. And well, now here comes the 40-inch tires. And well, I think they're running 44s now. So the Raptors have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger in order to fit around these monster tires you guys are using. So I think an 8-foot Stinger is going to become more popular than the 6-foot.
Get around this way. We even got JM rigging. You can't tell really, but we even got JM rigging soft shackles holding the winch lines tight on the truck as it's going down the road.
Yeah, they work good for that. That's the way I got mine hooked up on my Jeep. I don't I don't use that fancy stuff. I just have the soft shackle tied to the to the winch hoop, and it works really good.
See, we use the big ones in the towing
So, Cord,
industry
with your
for
tow
going through
truck,
big truck rims. Got a whole bunch of them. Go ahead with my tow truck.
with your tow truck at comp areas, do you have product of JM riggings that people could buy on site at
If my
competitions?
if you see my tractor trailer anywhere at a wheeling park or anything like that, I have probably roughly somewhere between $4,000 or $5,000 worth of JM rigging in the trailer at all times. So if anybody sees me at any off-road park or any place that you think you want something, or you see the rig, which the rig's not here, but everybody knows my rig at this point that has seen it at X-Rock. But yeah, I absolutely have everything in stock.
Yep, and I just sent a pretty good sized box out today of stuff for Cord, and it would be really nice at the events, to be able to, bring a few things, a few soft shackles, a winch line or two, a bunch of stingers and stuff like that, for people to be able to buy when they come to the event.
They have
It
them.
just so happens to be that I live 2,000 miles away, so it's kind of makes it a tough deal. But I think maybe for Field and Forest, we'll see what we can do to maybe get a tent set up, and maybe have some people standing around slinging some swag and stuff. So it looks like Leah joined us. Hi, Leah. Hope everything's well. Did you make it to Dayton? I know she can't say anything, but anyway, hopefully she made it there and everybody's good and safe.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. There's a whole group of them going.
Yeah, that's a pretty big event. Someday I would love to come out and watch that thing, just because I guess the time difference is different on this course and time is different on this course. Like, I'm talking the clock, 11 versus 10 o'clock, and a night event I think would be awesome. I used to really enjoy the super crawl events because we did those at night, and during the day is cool and it's fun, but at night under the lights, I mean, it's like going to a football game. During the day, it's like, yeah, go to a football game. At night, it's like, yes. It just adds a whole different, prospect to the game, and I think it's pretty cool. So, in other words, Hans.
No, the Dayton event is definitely it's a cool place to go. The owners are awesome people. So it's a great event, and with it being the night wheeling, they do have lights set up, everything along the side of the mountain that they compete on. So it's a fun time.
Yeah, it looks like a good time. Unfortunately, it makes it really hard for me to take that much time off of work to be able to close down for that amount of period of time. I would have a lot of angry customers. I already get hate mail when I close. I put a sign on the door for 2 days,
angry people,
and I get people taking hits out on me.
I saw your wife in the background earlier, and I can't thank her enough for sharing you with us through the lives you join and everything that you do for the off-road community, but also now coming out to all the events. She's like the real MVP, holding everything home and sharing you with us.
Yeah, well, I was really hoping that we could find a way so that she could come with me, but our little dog, who is 10 years old, who is, people who have dogs, your dog is part of your family, and he turned up really sick like a year and a half ago, and we didn't know what his issue was, and we finally found out that he had diabetes. And so the poor little sucker has to have a shot twice a day, with his insulin in there to keep him going. Things have been mentioned to me, and it's like, you can't do that. That's your dog, and you want your dog to be with you as long as possible. If your dog's, of course, is in pain or something like that, well, that's a different story. But I can't put my dog down just because he's a diabetic. I mean, come on. I mean, am I wrong?
He is
Come
a
on, you can answer
sweetheart.
that. I mean, am I wrong? So
No,
that's
you're
the
not.
only reason
Absolutely.
that Gayla
Your
does
dog,
not come into
your
the
dog is
event.
a sweetheart. I remember meeting him out at Sand Hollow a couple years ago, and
Yeah.
he is like the sweetest thing.
He is. He is very cool, and he's part of this family. He's a long-haired Chihuahua, half healer, believe it or not. You know, his mom was found running the streets of Mesquite. You know, but yeah, he herds the chickens out back all the time, keeps all the riffraff away. When it's time for his food, he actually, kind of shuffles your feet, and he guides you into his food bowl. So that's the only reason Gayla doesn't come with me, is because she's got to stay home to take care of little Biscuit, and he needs a shot, and it's. I don't know if my sister could come over. I don't know if Tanner would let her do that. I don't know. So, unfortunately, it's just part of the deal.
You guys are getting
But
a show.
she is great, and she does support me and the rock crawling stuff 100%. I actually got her on Saturday. We did a big group ride with Cedar Wheelers back up into Yankee Meadows through the backside and over Robinson Reservoir, which was the first like guided group ride. I guided it, but it was the first one that she had ever been on. I think she had more fun than I did. And for anybody that knows me, I love to guide trails. Most people are like, how do you put up with that? I don't know. I think it's fun. When I
I,
see people make it through an obstacle that I helped guide them through, to where they're giving high fives out the window to their friends, I know they're happy, but I think I'm even more stoked because I helped you get through something that you didn't think you could do. And I don't know. I like to guide. So anybody ever needs a trail guided, you can always call me. I don't care if there's 10 people or 50. I'll take on the task. And we'll have
I
fun.
like
When we come back. And they'll tell
I like going out.
Jim Markham is the world's greatest guide. There is no better guide than Jim from JM Reggae.
I like going out and like letting people struggle for a little bit, and then be like, hey, if you just turn a little bit this way or a little bit that way and give it a bump or something like that, it'll go. And they're like, no, we've tried. I'm like, just do it, please. Come on. And then bump, and they make it, and they're like, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, that's what we do.
It is cool.
That's
I'll share a little story. I was guiding like 35 people on a trail, and I'm not really used to this new electronic four-wheel drive stuff in a lot of these new cars. So the girl is on this straight ledge. It's probably 6 or 7 feet tall. She was in a 4Runner, I believe, and she was having trouble getting up it. So I went up to her and I said, look, just put it in first gear in low range. As soon as you feel that back tire hit the wall, punch it. Well, she looks at me and she says, well, I have it in rock crawler mode. Rock crawler mode? What the hell is rock crawler mode? And so I backed up and I said, well, just back up like a foot and punch it. And she did. She made it up to the top. But when I got off that trail, I actually called Woody and I said, Woody, what the hell is rock crawler mode? And he explained to me the new difference in these new rear ends and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, I guess that's really cool, but I'll stick to my high range and low range, and first, second, third gear work fine for me. But it was really cool. And then it happened on that same run. I had a bunch of ladies that were on that run that were new. And we did this one section around a big rock that's kind of an extra bonus obstacle. And they decided that they didn't want to do it. So after they watched a lot of people go through it, these gals came up to me and they said, hey, we will run this group of obstacles if you guide us. Okay. So I got them, started from the top, got them all through that. Every single one of those girls, they danced when they got to the top of that thing. I mean, they were trying to actually give me a cash tip for helping them and getting them through the trail and turning them on to four-wheel drive. I guarantee you they've done many, many trails since I helped them get up that. But I get personal satisfaction out of seeing that happen, just like I do with these guys when they make these big drops like Charlie did. I mean, yeah, Charlie had a lot of satisfaction from doing that, but the satisfaction I got from watching you do that, because I know how hard it is. my hat's off. That's all I can say.
Gonna hurt some feelings here. The
Uh-oh.
Randy Torbett buggy just sitting here. Just sitting here waiting to be resurrected. It's so sad.
And whose
One day.
buggy is that?
That used to be Randy Torbett's. That was the, if I'm not mistaken, 2004. It was the World Championship buggy. I bought 4 years ago. After the first year of doing this rock crawling stuff, I saw that online and showed it to Hans. And Hans is like, "You should go buy that. That is a legendary tractor axle buggy. That thing is monstrous and really cool." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go buy it." So I drove all the way to Alabama to go pick it up, brought it home, and
It
I've
is
been working
still
on other
sitting
projects. And I've been working on other projects ever since. And now that
Oh.
I'm so intertwined with helping doing the actual event of X-Rock, I'm afraid to actually, like, I want to work on it and everything. I got the new off-road tow truck in the shop still here as well, but I got to finish that project first, and then that's going in. The only downfall is I'm going to be really upset when I can't compete in it because I'm helping do all the events. So we need volunteers, by the way. If anybody wants to help volunteer at some point, yeah. See, Han said correct. Third Supercrawl in Salt Lake City in 2004 with that car.
Wow. Back when Supercrawl was like really big. Hey, what happened? We just lost Cord.
He's silly. He probably touched his screen again.
Probably.
We lost him before we even started before. He promised us he was not going to touch the screen.
I'm back. I don't know if it was me or you guys.
Hopefully, we'll get some people watching the live feed and everything from West Virginia, and you'll get to see Cord and myself in action because I know these guys. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I really didn't showcase because I wanted to see how it went this time, we are now live on YouTube. So you guys are our first YouTube live guests. So next week when I go and I stream our competition day, you will be able to find us on Facebook. If you want to go and check out the live feeds on Facebook, you'll get to check out the live feeds on YouTube now, and even Instagram. We're live on Instagram as well. So there are many different options. Next week, our next event is it's a closed event only for teams and families due to like where it's at and everything like that. It's also spotterless, which is going to be, it's a big, huge game changer. All the competitors, they wanted this. So yeah, we will be live. You'll be able to catch us with on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds really good. What are you saying, Cord? Don't forget what?
I was about to say, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and like all three platforms, and all three platforms on all three of those as well. And I know Jim has a Facebook page. I don't think he has a YouTube that I know of.
No,
right?
if
no, but he has Instagram.
If I had more time and an army of people behind me, I would have I would have YouTube, and I would do all kinds of movies and all that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of like the silent guy out there. People know if you want good, solid American-made gear, call me. I don't. I mean, whether you're needing a winch line, for your buggy, or whether you're needing, a complete cable for your crane along with a block and everything else. I mean, I do all that stuff. JM Rigging is actually an overhead rigging company, chain ropes and cables and all that kind of stuff. But I get into the off-roading because that's what I like. I mean, making chain assemblies and everything is cool because we all know that I have a fetish with chain. But I just I don't know. I like I like the off-road, and I like everything involved in it, and it's it's just it's just really
Face
cool.
palm.
Well, I've told people a million times I have a fetish with Shane, and nobody's ever said anything or even looked at me crooked until I said it to you two guys.
You have the two most dirty-minded people, her and myself, all day long. It's terrible at times because it'll just be like, I'll hear someone say something. I'll walk by Tiffany and I'll just be like, "That's what she said," and I'll just keep walking.
Crazy.
I have been good. Ever since I've been doing these podcasts for X-Rock, I have been really good. The first time when we start live streaming the events, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? You know, Hans is actually, he's standing next to me and he's like, are you going to be actually able to keep your mouth shut with like your commentary where we're not going to get shut down? So I've been good. I've learned.
That's like when I get on the podcast and stuff, my cursing level drops way down. I don't know how I do it.
I need to. I can control myself on the cursing. I just have a big habit of speaking my mind, and I
appreciate that about you.
Yeah, I know. I don't put up with bullshit. I mean, I'm that guy that you were warned about. Oh, just ask Jim to say that. He will. Well, if I believe in it and I'm a firm follower in it, I don't mind telling you the way that it is. I mean, a lot of people know that. Oh, just ask Jim. He'll tell you the way that it is. And and I'll do that. I've never gotten beat up, thank God. Maybe someday that'll happen, but
A lot of times, when confrontation comes, I just sit down unless it's directed at me, and then I take a lot of BS. It gets filled up, and then sooner or later I get that snap and that switch, and I try not to do that much anymore. When I was younger, that switch was real fast. But
you got to
can't care about that stuff.
Try to control yourself. It's tough though. When people push your button, my button doesn't have a pause.
Yeah. Yep. The nicest guy in the world.
So hard that she can't even talk.
I've never seen her speechless like that before.
Doing my pausing.
Well, like I said, you're lucky
doing my pausing
because I don't.
I try to. I'm a work in progress.
I don't have one, and I'm never going to get one. This is just the way that I am. Take it or leave it.
You don't need one. You're to the age where you're not supposed to have one anymore.
Well, right. I know. I mean, back when I was 20 years old, I cared about what I said and what people thought of me. At my age now, it's like, I don't care. If you don't like it, go next door. There's plenty of Chinese recovery gear out there. You don't need me.
That's actually, speaking of that, I thought it was funny. One of the Chinese guys tried to message me on Facebook, and I just deleted it. And I was just like, I'm not even going there. Nope, not doing it.
I'm telling you, every day I get them. They send me messages on Facebook, send me messages on Instagram. And I mean, and they just bombard my email, and, there's a basic couple of them, high ropes, and a couple of other ones that are like, dude, and I don't even answer them. And they just keep coming on. They'll hit me with this salesperson. They don't get nowhere. Then they hit me with this salesperson and they don't get anywhere. And it's like, I sell American made products, and this is America. We should sell American-made products. If we sold American-made products more, the world or the United States wouldn't be in the jam that it is. Can you imagine what would happen to our trade and everything if all of a sudden no containers showed up from China tomorrow?
Oh,
where would we all be?
I'd be okay. I know how to shoot a gun and hunt deer and everything else. I would be okay. I don't need fancy stuff. I still need
out of a damn job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway,
I just
dealt with a big ship and tons of Chinese containers where I was supposed to get them back in April. and I had so many customers so irritated. So yeah, I think I got like 30 of them all at once in June.
Yeah, 1 week after you needed them.
Yeah, everybody wanted them for July 4th, and they got them
Yeah,
in June.
pretty much.
Yeah. Well, China. I mean, China is good. Don't take me wrong when I bash China. We need China. We need the stuff that comes from there. We need the stuff that comes from Taiwan. We need the stuff that comes from England and Great Britain and every place else. We need stuff from everywhere. It's kind of a free trade, and it's what makes the world go round. But I am not a fan of Chinese rigging gear. Sorry.
No. The only Chinese rigging that I really will stand behind is Yoke.
Yoke is a very good company. I told you I'm a master distributor for those guys.
Yep. Like I said, those are the only guys I'll really stand behind 110%. Like Yoke makes some really nice snatch blocks and some nice stuff.
Yep, that they do. That they definitely do. But it's like, there's a lot of mills over in China. And there's good ones and there's not such good ones. Just like restaurants here. Some restaurants are good and some restaurants are not so good. And it's the same way over there. I tell people, I go, have you ever looked at pictures of China and seen the buildings and skyscrapers and everything they put up? Do you think they call America to get their wire rope and their shackles and stuff? No.
Nope.
Because those people over there that are building that know which mills and what companies to use and which ones to stay away from. And it's the same way here.
Or they just don't care about a few extra casualties. But hey, who's to say?
Oh, insurance will take care of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to sleep at night.
Yes, that's how I feel. Being a small company, being able to go out and use my truck to do stuff. The towing industry is a very interesting industry when it comes to it, because a lot of times it's not set in stone exactly what you're doing. You have an idea, you rig for the idea that you have, or hopefully like you have some kind of paperwork stating what your moving weighs. Like I moved 22,000-pound coils of steel the one day, and I had a piece of paperwork, and it said right on the side of the coil that had the thing stuck to it, says warning 22,000 pounds. And I'm like, okay, it's pretty heavy. My truck's rated for 14 ton all the way out, so I'm in my working load limits, which is really where you want to be. But it was just one of those moments, you hear a couple different groans and creaks of the truck that you don't normally hear because you're not usually picking that much weight that's concentrated. So you gotta think about those things sometimes. Working load limits is a real thing when it comes to any kind of rigging, and you want to stay within those working load limits.
Yeah, yep, you do. You know why they put those working load limits in there?
Because of stressing.
Basically, everything we do and we figure out is based on the scenario that it's brand new. Well, we all know that we use it, and after we use it the first time, it's not brand new. So you have things like shock load is a big, huge deal. Wind, rain, jerking motions on the crane, which is basically pretty much wrapped up in shock load. But shock load is the biggest reason why we put anywhere from a 4 to a 6 division. 5 is common. Believe it or not, there's a lot of stuff like when you do overhead chain assemblies, grade 100 chain assemblies, that stuff's all figured out on a 4-to-1 safety factor.
Yep.
Wire rope slings, synthetic slings and stuff like that are actually figured out on a 5-to-1 safety factor. A lot of people don't know, but steel shackles, American steel shackles, I'm talking Crosby and
3.
Columbus McKinnon, no, those are based on a 6-to-1 factor, believe it or not. If you look in the Crosby book, open it up, scale down to the bottom, it'll tell you that steel shackles are figured on a 6-to-1 safety factor. Shackles see a lot
I
of
just thought it was
shackles
3.
see a lot of abuse. Have you ever? Nothing's figured out on 3. Anything that we used to do, like back when I used to do stunt and special effects rigging, all our division on that one, if a human being was involved, was divided by 10.
Yeah,
Just
the
for
extra safety.
for super extra safety factor because a human life is involved. Now, true, everything that we rig and work and stuff, there's always humans down below, but safety factors are put there for a reason, and they really need to be adhered to. I was pretty put back when I first got into off-road recovery and off-road recovery gear that it's not based on a safe working factor. Everything was based on braking strength. And to a sense, I understand that because we're not lifting with it and stuff like that. But then again, if you look and watch what we do when we're recovering cars and stuff, man, the amount of shock load and everything that's involved, especially shock load in off-road recovery is huge. And that's why you always need to make sure that your stuff is good to go. Sharp edges and shock load.
Shock load. I always try to avoid shock load at any cost, and like I normally do all synthetic stuff at 5 divided by 5, and all chains by 4. So
yeah, and like I said, that's the national standard. Is chain is 4, slings is 5, and shackles is 6.
Good stuff to know. Write that down, people. Write that down. So when he's talking about the 3/8 Raptor slings or winch lines breaking at 23,000 pounds, we're talking about a multiplication or division by that number by 5, which will give you 4,000 or almost 5,000 pounds on that, Jim?
Well, no, basically, some of the stuff I rate with safe working loads on it for off-road recovery, but most of it I do with the basic factor of braking strength. And I always pad the braking strength. I don't ever use the actual real braking strength. When you put things like safe working factors on the tags, when the people come to see you to buy something from you, they don't understand. So I just kind of took that equation out of the factor. That's why if you look a lot of my stuff, it says braking strength, not SWL. It says BS, which is for that. The soft shackles beans that I have, a lot of people that use them outside of off-road recovery, I rate those with the safe working load, and I also put the braking strength on it too. So therefore people know, like my 3/8 soft shackles break at like 30,000. I only rate them for 25. I give it a little bit of padding in there for wear and use, and maybe you're not going to hook it up the proper way that you should, and shock loading and everything else. It just helps. But, I would like to see the whole off-road industry turn into safe working load, but you're just going to run into too much fight and too much argument over it because it's not being used for overhead lifting, and overhead lifting is where the safety factor comes in.
Well, at the end of the day, when you think about it, and a lot of people don't understand as well, that a 10,000 pound winch doesn't pull 10,000 pounds when it has 4 wraps on it. It only, pulls at, 7,000 pounds because of the diameter of the drum getting bigger from the winch line being on it. But people don't understand that either a lot of times, which drives me up a wall. That's the stuff.
No, they don't understand that, and they don't really understand 100% of the compounding, of winch lines and stuff like that. I mean, people tell me all the time, "Oh, I put a snatch block in there and it's going to double the capacity of my winch." Hate to tell you this, but no, it's not. When we compound stuff and we break lines down into 2, 3, and 4 parts, we do it so that the equipment that we're trying to move moves easier.
You're splitting the load between different points.
Exactly. Even though you 4-parted the line, that doesn't mean that you can pull 4 times the amount. No, that's not what that means.
You're actually helping your winch by not pulling as much on the line going into the winch.
It has to do with ease of operation and ease of use on your equipment. By breaking down and parting that line, it does give you the effect, and it does give you the thought that you can actually pull more. No, you can't pull more, but you can pull more efficient.
Yes. Well, so there's also that other line of things where you split yourself off to like a tree or something like that, which then technically you can pull more than you could before because you're anchoring to something other than yourself. So your winch can actually not physically pull line load more, but it can physically pull. Your truck's not going to slide away. It's going to split the load between something else. So that's a whole
Right,
other
exactly.
animal.
Two parting the line is going to make everything work easier. Your 10,000 pound winch is still only going to pull 10,000 pounds. Just because you two parted the line doesn't mean that your winch is going to pull 20,000 pounds. That's not what that means. Your line load will see 20,000 pounds, but your winch still won't pull it.
Correct. Because now you're splitting your. So if you're pulling, let's just throw it out there just for people for the fun of it. If you're pulling a 10,000 pound load, a straight line, you're pulling 10,000 pounds on that line. Now, when you double the line, what you're doing is you're putting 5,000 pounds on each side of the winch line and still pulling the same 10,000 pounds.
Exactly.
Basically, is how to explain it.
It makes the winch work easier, even though the winch is still seeing the same amount of load. Technically it makes it work easier because you've two parted the line.
Correct.
And it moves slower too. A lot slower.
Which is sometimes good for safety.
Sometimes slow is good. Sometimes, slow is good. Sometimes fast is good. But yeah, it's the way it goes. But I'm really looking forward to the next event. When is that? Next weekend, right? Chaos Off-Road Park?
All right.
West Virginia?
Next weekend, guys. At Chaos Off-Road Park. I talked about we have 15 competitors, and it being like split, East Coast, West Coast, everything like that. Do you guys have any predictions on who you might see in the top 3 or even making it to qualifying day?
Well, it's like I said, one of my top team drivers, John Mad Cow Hempel. Really funny about him because you all know that he used to be a downhill speed skier, and he actually held the world record for a while of being the fastest. I think he went 100. I wish he was on. He could tell us. I think it was like 154 miles an hour or something like that, on a pair of boards strapped to his feet. And we tease him all the time how he went from one of the fastest sports to literally one of the slowest sports there is. John is a great guy, and he goes for it. If John can keep them tires on the ground, he'll walk away with 10 grand.
Oh, he's putting that down. Write that down.
Tiffany said, "What's our predictions?" There you go.
Yep.
John is a great guy. Like I said, he's a great driver. And if he can keep all 4 of them tires on the ground, like I said, he'll walk out of there with that $10,000. Sorry, Charlie.
I got to see a lot of. I think he's the only one. Well, him and Dave Cole. They're the only 2 I've never seen compete before in person. So I'm very much interested to see what they're going to do.
I would have to say I've never seen Mad Cow drive before, but I've heard great things. So I'm going to put him up on the roster. I want to see King Charlie up there. I want to see Nate Gilbert up there. And I want to see if Matt Dickey can come back again with that qualifying round and come back through like that again. I don't think that can happen twice, but I'm going to put him up also with the top 5. And little Charlie would be up there too, but I can only pick 5, and I don't want to pick both Charlies. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to be it's going to be a shootout, and so it's going to be real interesting to see who can go and who does everything. And like I said, Mad Cow's the guy to watch. Of course, both the Melchners are definitely people to watch. Didn't Cam win this event last year?
I was just about to say, I was waiting for you to stop. I said, we all know Cam's going to put on a show. He always puts on a show. Whether it ends up in a flame ball at the end or ends up on podium, one way or another, Cam Beasley is a show to watch. He always is.
Yep, he is. He is. And then some of the other people too. Dickey's, both of those guys are fantastic drivers. To me, when you take some of these really super top high end guys and you take the spotter away from them, they actually drive better. I watch these guys when they go out.
And that's like that's the big dynamic of this compared to the other events. This is spotterless. It is just the driver and the car. Nobody in their ear to help them or anything like that. It is solely driver and car.
Yep. And I watch these guys, a lot. Mostly the Utah guys, when they go out and they go trail wheeling and they do the stuff that they do. They don't have a spotter. They're in a line and they're driving and they're doing the lines. And, like I said, with X-Rocks, it's not about dodging a cone. Yes, you don't want to hit the cone. And yes, the cone gives you the direction or the two pinpoints where you need to go between. But it's actually driving the obstacle. And when you get these people, that I know from my team, Dave Wong, John Madcow, Michael Brassanini, and a couple of these other guys, and you tell them to drive that obstacle, man, that's right up their alley. To me, when you put two cones there, it limits you to where you can go and what you can do. But when you say there's an obstacle, climb it, well, that gives you an open window to go out there and show everybody, I can do this. And I've watched these guys like the chute at Sand Hollow. Everybody drives up the chute. There's a side run that goes off to the side that's like, I think rated 15 or something like that. There's only two people that have ever drove that, Dave Wong and John Madcow. Nobody else has even attempted it.
Let me in, coach. So my favorite thing to watch on the chute and everything, I've never been out there, but my favorite thing to watch is Rory back up the chute. Always is a good head turner.
Oh yeah, he backed up that in his tow truck.
Yeah. I want to go do it. I want to go back to take the tow truck and back up the chute just to be like, I did it too.
Well, come to Trail Hero this year. It's in 3 months.
Yeah, I gotta just try. There's a lot going on. I'll talk to you about it at Chaos, but it's hard to fill, as you said, it's hard to get away from the company. I had the same problem. I take 3 weeks off for X-Rock from my job, plus other events and stuff that I'm trying to set up locally. So it gets tight.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. There's anybody that knows all about that. It's me. I get my butt kicked all the time. Just close it. I got to the point where I just close the door and walk away. Well, anyway, what did you
guys? Before we start heading out, is there anything?
Have we driven you crazy yet?
She's a little delayed at times, but yes, we drive her nuts all the time. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. She likes it.
I love it, guys. But is there anything we haven't covered yet?
I mean, we could sit here for days and do this. You might as well just shut us down while you have a chance.
Oh yeah, with me, my wife's already over here telling me to put a cork in it.
I'd love to meet your wife one day. I got to get out there to meet her because she sounds like a good time. She sounds like a good person to keep you in trouble.
You gotta come over. I mean, you can talk to Cam about it. She makes some of the best breakfast burritos you've ever had in your life.
Oh, you got my number.
I've had one.
Well, yeah, come to Trail Hero when you can dine on those.
You're gonna enjoy my breakfast burritos and Chaos because that's all I do.
Burritos, they were amazing.
Well, being that we're not going to have any food trucks or anything there, I'm going to be definitely running around looking for handouts.
There's plenty. They'll guarantee you there'll be food at my trailer. Guaranteed. All the time.
Yep, there will be. And don't forget about everybody that's out there watching and listening to stuff. Don't forget Friday night, It's free barbecue, hamburgers and hot dogs and chips. And I think Cam had mentioned he was going to make some corn on the cob and a couple of other things. So we're going to have a great party Friday night. We want everybody to come and be a family and hang out and, talk trash about one another and have a good time.
Yes.
Should be good.
Maybe we'll do like a campfire talk again.
We should do that again. We should do that again.
We can do the campfire
Thursday
talk,
night.
but we're not that guy, Jack. He's not coming with us.
Bob?
No,
Oh,
Jack.
Jack.
You know who I'm talking about.
Got you.
No. Field and Forest.
Oh,
You, me, and Hans, and Leah, and a couple of us. No way. No. Jack is not allowed at the campfire at the event, except on Saturday.
Jack, Johnny, or Jose, huh?
Yeah, neither one of them. Jack's a great guy. I'm telling you, he's a really good friend of mine. But I think
Totally great guy, but he likes to stay up till 3-4 o'clock.
Me and him have had a couple fights. He's beat my ass a couple times.
Wow.
But guys, I do want to thank you for coming on, not just on the podcast, but our sponsors, because not only do we have Jim Markham of JM Rigging and Cord Reside of Mother's Off-Road Motorsports, but we also have Brannick Motorsports, Jesse Haynes, Fabrication, Radial Dynamics, 386 Fab, All Extremes Off-Road, Wheeling for Warriors, Black Bear Electric, She Crawls, and Kincaid Fabrication. Guys, almost all of these will be at our next event as well, I believe, along with they were all there. I think almost everyone was there at last event. So come out, meet our sponsors, get to know them, learn about their products, what they do, and make sure you thank them, because without them, we would not be able to put on these events and offer $10,000 to first place. So thank you guys for everything that you guys do for us.
From JM Rigging, you guys are more than welcome. Anything I can do to help you, just let me know.
You guys always, everybody, if they have an event that you need an off-road recovery guy, I'm your guy on the East Coast. Hit me up. Also, don't forget, Mother's 10% off JM Rigging stuff. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Or if you see me, come find me, or you can order through me direct if you want, and I'll get it from Jim. Or if I have what you need in stock, I have a lot in stock as well.
We'll get you fixed up. Service. That's the name of the game.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well,
all right,
Tiffany,
guys, next week we're going live.
So you can go do whatever it is you have to do. What time is it back there? Like 10 o'clock?
9:30.
9:30.
Yeah, that's early still.
I haven't had dinner
yet.
But
next weekend, we're going to be live. I'm going to be going live for all you guys on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, all on the X-Rock channels, bring you live coverage from Chaos, West Virginia. Cap and Bridge, West Virginia Chaos Off-Road Park. So make sure you guys tune in if you're not going to be at the event, and check out some crazy competition. It's going to be fun.
Can't wait.
It's going to be great. Thanks to Hans, Tiffany, yourself. I know your husband Chris does a lot too. Everything that Leah does. I'm blanking on the other name that I want to mention, and if you hang on, I'm going to get it. Carrie. Carrie is amazing, the stuff that Carrie does for us, keeping all the time, just everything that he does, and everybody that's involved with X-Rocks. Thank you, and I can't wait to see y'all again in a week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we will catch you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good evening.
It's going to happen just like